What if I told you your body wasn't just biology? What if it was a text, an ancient blueprint, stamped with a divine signature? Well, today, that's exactly the idea we're diving into.
So let's kick things off with a huge question. Is your body, your bones, your blood, even your DNA written in some kind of divine language? That's the mystery we're going to try and unpack. Okay, so our journey starts with this really old belief, the idea that our bodies are so much more than what they seem on the surface. The theory goes that if you just know where to look and, how to read the code, you can actually find a divine signature woven right into the fabric of your being.
So the thinking here is that our anatomy isn't random. Not at all. It's supposedly a deliberate design, packed with patterns and numbers that point to something bigger, a higher spiritual reality. It kind of means that we are, quite literally, walking, talking messages.
All right, so if there is a code, how in the world do we crack it? Well, the sources for this explainer all point to one thing, an ancient system called Gematria. Think of it as the key. Before we can read the message in the body, we've got to learn the language it's written in.
So, what is Gematria? Well, at its heart, it's a kind of numerology. The whole system is based on this idea that letters and numbers are deeply connected. By calculating the numerical value of a word, you can supposedly unlock hidden, deeper meanings. Yeah, it's kind of like a secret decoder ring for sacred texts.
Let's put this into practice with one of the most important names in these traditions, YAH-WEH, sometimes called the Tetragrammaton. See, in Gematria, each of these 4 Hebrew letters has a number. The Yod is 10, the He is 5, the Vav is 6, and that final He is another 5. Okay, and this is where it starts to get really interesting. When you add those up, 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, what do you get? You get 26. And in this system, 26 isn't just any number. No, it's considered the divine number. It's like a numerical signature of the Creator. So, burn this number into your brain. 26. It's what we're going to be looking for.
All right, we've got our key, the number 26. So what's next? Well, the logical thing to do is to start looking for this divine signature inside the human blueprint itself, and we're going to start with our physical structure.
And boom! Right away we find our first huge connection. You see, the adult human spine, the very column that holds us all upright, is made of 26 vertebrae after they fuse. The sources point to this as a direct physical example of that divine number. The implication is pretty wild. Our very foundation is built on this sacred number. And then they link this to Genesis 1:26, which says, "Let us make man in our image." It's like a numerical echo in both the scripture and the skeleton.
But hold on, it gets deeper. The connection isn't just about the number, it's also about the shape. The letter Yod, that little point, is seen as the head, the spark of divine intellect. The Vav, that straight line, well, that's the spine. And the He, that represents the chest and arms, the very vessel for our breath. So if you look at it this way, the human form itself literally spells out the divine name.
Okay, so we've looked at the big picture, the macro level of the skeleton. Now let's zoom way in, all the way down to the micro level, to the very essence of life that's flowing through us right now, our blood in our DNA.
Now check this out. This is another fascinating point from the sources. That molecule in our blood that carries oxygen, hemoglobin, what's at its core? Iron. Okay, now think back to chemistry class. What's the atomic number of iron? It's 26, the exact same value as the divine name YHW. The idea here is that the very element that makes our blood red, the thing that carries life to every single cell, seems to be stamped with that same divine number.
And the code supposedly goes even deeper, right into our DNA. First off, our DNA is built on a 4-letter alphabet, which mirrors the 4 letters of YHW. But the sources point out other significant numbers too. For example, our genetic code is read in groups of 3, echoing the idea of a trinity. The double helix twists in patterns involving the number 7, a biblical number for perfection. And we depend on 12 essential amino acids, which parallels numbers of divine order, like the 12 tribes of Israel.
Okay, let's pull back for a second. We've seen this supposed code in our bones, in our blood, in our DNA. Now we're going to see how Gematria tries to connect the dots to bridge the gap between the physical and the spiritual. It tries to unite flesh and spirit with one really elegant calculation. To see how this works, we need 2 Hebrew words. The first one is basar, which means flesh. In Gematria, that adds up to 502. The second word is ruach, meaning spirit, and its value is 214.
Now, according to the sources, when spirit is placed within flesh, you're basically doing a math problem. You're adding the two concepts together. So you take 502 for flesh, add 214 for spirit, and you get 716. But wait, it doesn't stop there.
See, in numerology, you can often reduce big numbers down to their essence by just adding up the digits. So 7 plus 1 plus 6, that gives us 14. So why is 14 a big deal? Well, think about it. It's 7 times 2. And in these traditions, 7 is the number of divine perfection, and 2 is all about partnership. Put them together, and what do you get? The number of the covenant, that sacred agreement that brings the physical and the spiritual together. So what does all this really mean for you? This is where we bring it all home. We're going to reframe the human body, not just as a bunch of biology, but as a living, breathing message, a sacred space. The sources bring up this really powerful metaphor, your body as a living temple. It's said to mirror the 3 parts of Solomon's temple. Your physical body, that's the outer court. Your soul, your mind, your emotions, that's the holy place. And then, deep inside, your spirit is the Holy of Holies, the place where the divine dwells. And get this signature isn't just some static thing. It's dynamic. It's alive. The simple act of breathing, something you're doing right now without even thinking about it, is believed to be an echo of the divine name. The sound when you inhale, that's YAH. The sound when you exhale, WEH. So with every single breath you take, you're speaking this name. It all kind of leads to this profound sense of awe, right? And it's captured perfectly in that quote from the Psalms, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." I mean, whether you take all this as beautiful poetry or as a literal numerical blueprint, the core message is the same. It points to an intricate and purposeful design. And that leaves us with one last big thought. If all this is true, if your body really is encoded with a divine language, if you are a living temple whispering a sacred name with every breath you take, what does that actually mean about who you are and about the potential that you hold inside you? That's definitely something to think about.